Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the B9R Report. Second week, full on video. We go live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and checking on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. My name is Carlos Torres. Every week, I'm alongside my co-host Fred Valvader. Now it's side by side, as you will see on the video. From now on, how are you, Fred?
Well, Carlos, I'm pretty good. I'm still up here in Michigan. The last couple of days we've been getting snow, actually.
What? Snow?
Yeah, it was 24 degrees when I got up this morning. It's been spitting snow off and on all day today. Yeah, over the weekend it snowed a little bit, so it's been a little cooler up here. So no golf. We can't play golf because the courses are closed, but no golf today anyhow. It's too cold. So, hey, we saw something unique happen on Sunday. Tiger Woods won the Masters for the second year in a row. That's pretty good, huh?
No, twice, back-to-back years.
I know, back-to-back. Yeah, you should get credit for that. We should be talking about the winner of the green jacket for the Masters. But, you know, it was postponed till November, so because of the coronavirus pandemic. So we should be talking about the RBC Heritage this week. I see you got a nice picture of Harbor Town there in your background. I played there last spring. That's a beautiful. Actually, the hole right before it, 17, doesn't get as much play on TV, but it's a really cool par 3. It hits out to the sound there, and then 18 hugs along the sound. It's pretty tough hole. It looks easy. It doesn't look that hard on TV, but it's not that easy actually. So yeah, we've got a few more states closed their golf courses this week. We've got Wisconsin is now they've got a lobbyist working to try and get their golf courses back open in Wisconsin. In Pennsylvania, one course is suing the governor to open back up. So we got a lot of action. Maybe we're seeing the coronavirus peak start down. Maybe things are going to start opening up a little bit after the end of the month. Maybe we hope. But we want to mention to our loyal listeners and viewers here from now on that this show is available on B9R Report TV on YouTube. So we've got a little podcast line there. You can just go and listen to anyone you want to listen to or watch. So that's kind of cool. There's no new real tour action to talk about this week, but we still got a ton of golf to talk about, Carlos. And before we get started, I just want to mention real quickly, Boyne has been one of our sponsors for a long, long time. You know, as I mentioned, all the golf courses in Michigan are closed. Still a little cold up here anyhow, but we're shooting for a May 1 open date. I don't know if they're going to make that, but they are offering great deals at their website, boyne.com/golf. One of these days, hopefully by July, August, maybe even in June, we'll be able to get back on the golf courses, and you're going to want to have your package booked at these kind of prices. So I would urge you to go to Boyne, BOYNE.com/golf. Check out their great prices right now. Carlos, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, if you don't book it right now, with everybody trying to go back to the golf courses,
yep,
it's like right now you're trying to get shopping done. You don't find anything. That's what you're not going to find. Tea times. Everybody's going to be booking them. So booking them.
It'll be like toilet paper.
Yeah. It's going to be a hot commodity. But anyway, like you mentioned, we have a ton of golf to talk about. Golf hasn't stopped. And we have been scouring everywhere to talk about what's happening. And of course, we've all been told, stay at home. We've seen what the economy worldwide is suffering. I mean, I live here in Plano, Texas. One of the many companies here that are based here, one of them is Cinemark. And I was hearing yesterday that among the biggest cuts involved, there's going to be layoffs of 17,500 hourly workers, furloughs of half the company corporate team to 20%. And then they're going to be 20% pay and 50% pay reductions for its remaining employees. I heard that. I'm a fan of movies, movie theaters. I go there as much as I can. They're just less than 2 miles from me, their headquarters, and the closest movie theater. I felt bad for them. I mean, and it's not only there. We've seen the impact all around the world, and we have talked about the impact in golf. What the canceling of the tournaments means to the hosting uh, courses, the employees. In big part, we were talking about also the charities that each one of them benefits. They count every year with that money to do their social work. It's hard to see them and their employees being laid off or furloughed or just closing down. Uh, we've seen many pro players from other sports uh, doing a lot of things to help their community. So I got asked this week, what are the players, the golf players doing? Well, they're doing their part. It's just that they're not getting the publicity, maybe because they're not as big in publicity like a LeBron James or any of the NBA players that are doing their stuff. But it was good to see a friend of the show, Ron Green Jr., on the Global Golf Post, describe what some of them are doing. And like I mentioned, in many cases, with little to no public recognition. So I have in my notes here, I'm going to go through them what he mentioned on them, like in Utah, Tony Finau is providing 500 meals a week with hygiene kits, including to school children in the Salt Lake City district. In Jacksonville, Florida, Jim Furyk has donated $100,000 to the Baptist Health COVID-19 Relief Fund. In India, Anirban Lahiri has donated approximately $10,000 to a national relief fund while also providing video cooking lessons as his native country has locked down. I mean, you see that India is really. I was seeing a picture of the mountains the other day. Now you can. They were saying for the first time in 30 years you can see them because pollution has gone down. So India has locked down during the coronavirus pandemic. In Texas, here Ryan Palmer organized a Pros with a Purpose campaign. That is a fundraising platform that is raising money that will go to the charities, supported by 5 events that Palmer typically plays each season, but missed this year when they were canceled. In Virginia, Mark and Audrey Leishman are using their Begin Again Foundation to provide meals to healthcare workers in critical areas as the COVID-19 crisis continue. That one really hits home to them. You might remember 5 years ago, Mark's wife, Audrey, besides sepsis and some other conditions, she also had acute respiratory syndrome, which is really the big underlying condition here with the COVID-19. So they really, for her, is like a flashback to what happened to her 5 years ago. She knows very well what it was to be close to really losing her life. In South Florida, Brooks Koepka has donated $100,000 through his foundation to relief efforts in Palm Beach and Martin counties. In Spain, Sergio Garcia, we know Spain has been hit really, really hard. Sergio and his family have committed approximately $240,000 to relief efforts there in Spain. In northeast corner of Florida, Billy Horscher donated a portion of his Players' Championship check and contributed volunteer work for Feeding Northeast Florida. In Ponte Vedra Beach, the PGA Tour Commissioner, Jake Monahan, spent part of his day making meals for people in need with food that would have been used at the Players' Championship that was canceled. So he's doing some good for it. Monahan and the PGA Tour also have to set up some 3 relief funds to help out. And also, finally, in South Florida, Ernie Els has joined forces with clubshelp.org, which is a quickly expanding collection of golf clubs that partner with area hospitals to provide through club members what is needed. So for a little bit there of what the players are doing, I'm sure this is just a small list of what everybody's doing around. I'm sure the golf community is not sitting down, not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly right, Carlos. And you know, golf has this history of, you know, creating a lot of money for charity and helping all kinds of things in their communities. You just mentioned some of the golfers and what they're doing, trying to help their local communities or someone else. the USGA gave $5 million that they're trickling down to the allied golf partners that they have in each state out there, because they need it for payroll to help, keep their situations going, their businesses. The PGA of America donated $5 million to the Golf Emergency Relief Fund. And that's a lot of that's going to caddies or people that work at golf courses, the staff, the maintenance staff, and all these kind of people. It's just on and on and on, Carlos. Straight down the apparel company. They normally, make golf attire. They've switched over and they're making medical gear. They checked around to see what they could do to help, and they said, hey, we need masks and we need some of this medical stuff. So they switched their production over to that. It's they're going to make 72,000 masks and 30,000 gowns over the next week. That's amazing. You mentioned Ernie Els, even Daniel Kang and Mav McNeely, the lovebirds that live together. They're doing like a challenge thing, so they're bored to death like everybody else being home. So they're challenging each other on social media and doing different things. You can just, you can find all kinds of stuff out there. Outpost Emergency Relief Foundation. Outpost is a golf group from around all over the United States that host tournaments at some of the great golf courses around the country. And of course, these are gentlemen that have a little bit of money, and they started a foundation, and they're giving a bunch of money to $50,000 to caddy relief and those kind of things at different clubs. So everybody's trying to pitch in a little bit, do what they can. It's kind of amazing, Carlos. We've, in my lifetime, I've not had to live through a real crisis like a world war or a depression like our parents and grandparents had to do. So I guess this is the crisis that in my lifetime that we're going to go through. And it does warm your heart that all the people that try to come together and help each other, even if you go to the grocery store, people are respectful. They don't get excited. Everybody just does their thing. And I'm totally amazed with it. It just, people in my neighborhood here, in the afternoon, it seems like everybody is fed up with being in the house by 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So they go out and go for a walk, or they're just staying out in the yard and talk to the neighbors a little bit just to do something different. So it has given us a chance to talk to the neighbors a little bit more than we normally would. But the whole thing is just amazing to me. The golf community has a history of reaching out and generating money for charity. This is just a continuation of that. The golfers are doing it on their own. The organizations are doing it, generating large dollar donations. So kudos for all that, and for everybody that's trying to help somebody. Congratulations, and keep up the good work.
Definitely. And when I was finishing, I was going to say golf is known for its charity work. There's no other sport, professional golf. You can combine other major sports. They don't even come close to what golf does on its own. So you can bet your bottom dollar they're out there doing things to help. Like everybody, like you're mentioning, this is not only about a small bunch of people. We together have to do a lot to get us through. So I know it sounds cliche, but it's about doing it together. That's the only way that we're going to get through this. And seeing how people are reinventing things, like you mentioned, a clothing company changing their model to adjust to bring things that are important right now. It's just incredible to see, and it definitely is a heartwarming story. So now, when is professional tours scheduled to return to action? I mean, you just mentioned that possibly We don't know yet, but we are hopeful that we're seeing maybe the peak coming by the end of this month, hopefully, of what the coronavirus is. And hopefully we can start turning the curve down the next month. Hopefully that is the case so we can see when the tour action is going to return. So we have compiled a list of what it's so far, what's going to be next stop in each tour. So the PGA Tour, they're saying that the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial, May 21st to the 24th, is the next thing up. Uh, I don't know about that. I mean, that is just a month and a week away. I think it's safe to say it's not going to happen, even though Texas may not be as big affected as the biggest challenges there in Florida, New York, New Jersey, California, Washington. But we still have been hit with it, and I don't think in a month and a week you're going to clear it up. Neither of the players are going to be ready to play so soon. You have to clear them first to be able to do their own thing and then be ready to start working. So on the European tour, we have the BMW International Open. Apparently, that's the next thing up. That's on June 25 to the 28th. Still, that seems a little bit close to me. I honestly think nothing will be played before the start of July. That's my personal thought. But for the European tour, one of the difficulties that it has is that they don't stay in one place. They have to go to different countries. So it's not like the States, which you play around the States. Still, it's just one country, even though it's different states, but it's a little bit more controllable. You have to go to Spain, you have to go to Italy, Portugal, different places around Europe that have been hit hard, and you don't know how they're going to be react. So Germany is the next one for them, the BMW International Open. That's what they have on the schedule. The LPGA have the Walmart Northwest Arkansas Championship. That is June 19th to the 21. And that is because the LPGA, the major LPGA Classic, that is 1 week before, is working on rescheduling. I think also the Walmart Northwest Arkansas might be working on that. We don't know, but that's what we have so far in the schedule next. On the Corn Ferry Tour is the Evan Scholar Invitational. I don't think so. That's May 21st to the 24th. But again, we're mentioning what is on the schedule next. The Champions Tour right now is the American Family Insurance Championship. That is in Madison, Wisconsin, June 5 to the 7th, next up. But if you see their schedule, the next two after that have been canceled. So the one in the MasterCard Japan and the US Senior Open, they're off. I don't see how this one is going to be played. Maybe the Bridgestone Senior Players Championship in July 9th, very near you. That's going to be the Firestone Country Club in Akron, Ohio. I think that might be the best bet to start. The last two tournaments, the last two tours that I'm going to report on, the Ladies European Tour, they have the Jabra Ladies Open in France. That is June 18th to the 20th. That is up next in the schedule, but I believe that the Mediterranean Ladies Open, which is in Spain a month later, and even that, with Spain the way that it is, it's another one that it's maybe sketchy to be played. Like the Euro Tour, this tour visits many countries, so it's tough for them. And Fred, finally, the Symetra Tour. They have the Inland Resort Championship in Michigan, June 19th to the 21st. But the Pasco Charity Championship in Cincinnati the next week, I think, looks dicey as well. I would say that the Donald Ross Classic at French Lick on July 9th is more likely.
Yeah, French Lick, I think you're probably going to have that. But Carlos, Michael Wan was on with Michael Breed last week, and he made the statement that right now they're planning for a restart on June the 15th with the Walmart Northwest Arkansas Championship. So that would put them online then, and then they go to the what is the KPMG is right after that, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to try and ramp things up to get going back in the middle of June. So this is the middle of April. We're talking 60 days. So things are coming around pretty quickly now. And I would say we said earlier in the show, if we can get back to the numbers that they want to see by the end of this month, I think we're going to start see things really opening up in May, and I think we could get going again by the middle of June. Now, Jack Nicklaus also talked this week. Well, the PGA Tour sent a memo to their, well, the other thing I want to finish up with Juan first, and he was saying that baseball, Major League Baseball and the other professional sports are also looking at a mid-June start. Baseball is kicking around just having the 15 teams in Arizona and the 15 teams in Florida playing in those two states, just like they do in spring training. And then they're not going to have American League, National League. It's going to be Cactus League, Grapefruit League. And then the winner from that, whether they have a playoff or something from those divisions, that's who's going to play in the World Series. And that might not be until November or December time frame. But they're going to play in the warm weather states in Arizona and Florida, where they already got the spring training facilities. So a lot of stuff is pointing towards June 15th. That's what they're working on. The PGA Tour sent out a memo. They send a memo every Friday to the players. And so they've canceled or postponed 9 events. As you said, the Charles Schwab Cup is the next one on the schedule, May 21. I don't think that's going to be held. I don't think they're going to get going until mid-June. And along that line is that Jack Nicklaus talked. I'm going to have to cough. I'm sorry. Jack Nicklaus was talking, and he said that it appears the Memorial is going to have to move from its normal time slot at the beginning of June. And they're looking at taking the week in July that would have been the Open Championship. Right. They're trying to get going for then. So, and so let's just to break up this talk a little bit, Carlos. And since the Masters was last week, and we don't have anything action to report, I ran across this stat today when I was looking at some stuff about Jack Nicklaus. He played in 26 Masters, okay, 26 different times. He finished in his first one in 1959. He was an amateur. He missed the cut. The next year, as an amateur, in 60, he finished tied for 13th, and he was a low amateur. Okay, then he was a pro beginning in 1961. So from 1961 through 1987, of course, he won his last one in 1986. He won 5 times. In 26 Masters, he only missed 1 cut. Okay, he did withdraw in '83. I think he had a bad back that year. In all in total, he finished top 10 in 20 of those 26 events. Okay, so if you throw out the one he missed the cut and the one he withdrew, that's 20. He finished top 10 in 20 out of 24. Okay, that he actually played in. He won 5 of them. From 63 to 66, he won 3 of his 4 Masters contested. And in the 70s, he won 2 more green jackets, and he finished top 4 in 8 of those 10 tournaments in the 1970s. So even into his 50s, Jack collected a 6th place finish in the 1990 Masters and another 6th in 1998 at the age of 58. So you talk about horses for courses. We've seen that from Tiger at Augusta. Jack Nicklaus knew how to play Augusta. He loved it there, and he could play that golf course. But those numbers were just astounding to me. So I had to throw that in. But getting back to the schedules, yeah, it looks like everything up to or before June 15th is not going to happen and have to move somewhere else out on the schedule. And you did a good job going through all the tours there, but we're not going to see any live action for a little while yet, Carlos.
Oh, definitely. Personally, I think the safest way for them to restart would be July. That gives the players enough time to get back. We still don't know when they're going to be opening things up. So I think they all need about a month to get ready. So it could be. I mean, if they start reopening things by mid-May, then we can start seeing at a mid-June type of restart. But anyway, that is really the countdown that we're looking at right now. We're gonna see what happens. This is a week-to-week thing. Things are starting to get a little better in most places, but we'll see. We'll keep reporting on it as we get more and more news. We've been saying it, golf has not stopped. The news keep coming up, especially with rescheduling, postponements. This is a work in progress. Now, talking about closures, local small business owners and general managers, which that includes a number of golf courses from Pennsylvania to California, they're bringing lawsuits to courts arguing that the state and their local governments are overstepping their bounds in forcing businesses and courses to close. That is a sweet fine line that they're walking in there. A story in the New York Times over the weekend detailed a plight of Jim Roth, which is the general manager of Blueberry Hill Public Golf Course and Lounge in Russell, Pennsylvania. And he's suing the state, demanding that the governor not hold absolute power to open and shut segments of Pennsylvania economy like a spigot. That was what he says. So Fred, this is not only him. This is the latest one example that we see from a small business owner, in this case, a golf course owner that is suing the state. And this is a result basically of seeing how the small business owners right now are being affected and trying to keep their businesses afloat. So what's your take on that?
It's a tough situation. We talked about it last week, a little bit, the week before. And I mean, it strikes home to me, Carlos, because I'm in the golf business. And nobody wants to talk to me right now about buying ads in the magazine. There's just nothing happening right now. And so when we had that great weather earlier this year, these golf course owners wanted to be getting those green fees. And it didn't seem to make any sense when you go to the local Walmart or the grocery store and you see, a couple hundred people in there and you got to brush by people in the aisles and all that kind of thing. And in a golf course, people can stay pretty far apart, plus you're outside. Now you do have to pay. So either you have to go in the shop or they have to set up outside or they have to take it online or something like that to pay. But once you're out there, you can stay away from people. You can be outside. One of the things that really, I don't want to get on my soapbox here and I don't want to turn this into a political thing, but, it just seems like some of these governors just react to kind of show that they have this power all of a sudden, they're not the president, they're not the Congress, and all of a sudden they want to just throw their weight around, it seems like. I know they're afraid of media jumping on them if they don't do anything, but I think some of them have gone a little bit overboard, like here in Michigan, for example. I think she's gone a little bit overboard. But that being said, I understand both sides of the argument. I read something today where a man who is a police officer was in a park across the street from where he lived with his wife and his daughter. They were playing catch, and the police came and arrested them for being too close together. They're a family. They live together, okay? The guy was a cop, and they kept asking for his ID, and he says, no, I'm not giving my ID. This is stupid that you're even bothering me, right? And they put him in cuffs, all right? And they took him to jail, because he's playing ball with his daughter and his wife at a park where nobody else was around. In California, they arrested a kid for surfing. There was nobody else on the beach. There's nobody there. He's by himself in the water, and they arrested him for being out on the beach. It's just like everybody just like goes crazy. They lose all common sense. I don't get it. So getting back to point here, I don't mean to ramble on and get away, but getting back to point, this golf course owner in Pennsylvania says, hey, the governor doesn't have a right to shut me down. I'm an open air facility. I'm not, Why is he? Where does he get the authority to shut me down? And I think we're the economy as a whole, the people as a whole are beginning to question this. How can we shut down our country? How can we shut down our economy? Aren't we going a little bit overboard? Well, from a golf standpoint, it seems to be on point with this thing because the risk of contracting COVID-19 at a golf course seems pretty remote. So I'm not a governor. I'm not a legislature by any chance of the matter. I'm surely not a medical person, but I would think at this time golf would give people a chance to get outside, get out of their house, and do something, so that they would be able to at least get through this thing and maintain their sanity. Carlos, I don't know if you have a different take than that, but that's kind of my thoughts.
Well, my take is this is a very difficult subject because I understand and I would be a proponent of keeping the golf courses open as long as they maintain some measures like we've seen in the Cactus Tour that we have talked about. I mean, there's ways that you can prevent things and people from being together. The problem is that you might send people in twosomes, threesomes, foursomes, it depends. But even one small pair that is paired together, they're close, one spreads to this one, he doesn't know because he was asymptomatic. And that triggers a lot more spreading. So that the thing is, and I understand that we're trying to be tough at the beginning so we can cut this from the root, but at the same time we got to give some leeway to some of the businesses to make their money, right? So I like you understand both sides, but I just hope we can do something that this could be just over. You know, I think that that's what they're trying to do. I don't think the lawsuits are going to go too far because the powers right now, the constitutions, even on the independent states, not independent states, in individual states, when there's emergency declares, which have been already done, that gives the government a lot of power right now. And I don't see how the lawsuit is going to come through and become successful. But at the same time, you're mentioning there has to be common sense. If I would be the leader, I would say, okay, I'm going to let you go and do it, but take your precautions. I mean, don't let the people that are going to get into the pro shop, okay, 6 feet apart, or if even then do some online reservations, so they don't have to get there and do any of the buying things that they have to do or anything like that. On the golf course, there's a lot of things that they can do. The noodles on the cups. Don't put the flag. I mean, leave the flag there. Just don't touch it, or just don't put it there. Whatever. There's a lot of ways that you can do it to help out.
Don't rip the bunkers, one person to a cart, all kinds of stuff like that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So anyway, and even limiting how many people you're going to have, because you're going to have 1 people per cart, so there's going to be less carts that you're going to have, then maybe less people you're going to allow to play. But anyway, there's things that can be done. That part I understand. But anyway, talking about lawsuits, it doesn't end there. Just like we all thought, Tiger Woods is in the news this week. We all knew it. But you know what? Instead of defending his Masters win at Augusta National, the news is because he's being sued by a fan named Brian Boruso, who was at the 2018 Valspar Championship. That is 2 years ago.
This guy's got to be a real idiot, Carlos. He has got to be a real idiot.
And it gets better. It gets better because he alleges that Tiger's caddy, Joey Lakawa, shoved him as he was trying to take a selfie with the big cat during a competitive round. I mean, let me get serious. Sorry. Let me be serious about this. Yeah, the big cat was letting himself take somebody a selfie with him during a competitive round. Yeah. As a result of that, Maruso, he's saying he lost the ability to earn income. He's had ongoing health problems. I can imagine. keep going.
Mental. He's got mental.
Apparently, him and his representation are hunting for video evidence of the incident. Good luck with that. I mean, both Tiger and Joey Lacava are named in the suit for it. I'm going to pass it to you because I'm going to say things I might regret afterwards. So,
Well, I don't know if you saw, there was a video. I don't know if you saw it or not. And
no,
so Tiger, I mean, you know, he's back in the crowd. He's in the rough, and the crowd's all around him like they just make a little alleyway, right? And so this bozo is standing right behind Tiger. He's trying to take a little practice swing to get a feel for it. And this guy's standing right behind him. I don't know where the marshal is. The marshal should have had these people back, right? Okay. This guy's got his back turned to Tiger. He's trying to take a selfie, all right, with Tiger in the background. And the guy, Tiger would hit him with the club. He was that close, all right? So he should have never been there in the first place. So Joey sees it. Joey walks over past Tiger.
okay.
He puts his hand on the guy's side, okay, and just kind of moves him back. He didn't push him. He didn't shove him. He wasn't really rude. He was just, you know, he said, you got, you know, move back a little bit. I don't know how the guy thinks he has a lawsuit. I don't know how some attorney would even pick this up, right? Because this just looks absolutely ridiculously stupid to me. So I don't think Tiger and Joey have too much to worry about on this deal.
It's the 15 minutes of fame. That's what he's getting there. That's all. Because he's suing Tiger, and that's it. He's gonna get
I wouldn't want to be that guy, but maybe he gets off on bragging down at the bar to his buddies or something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm suing Tiger Woods. Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, I don't know. It's ridiculous. But anyway, let's move on. Now. Yeah,
We just talk about him, Carlos. You know.
I don't understand how. And then 2 years after the incident, I mean, there are people and there are other people and there's idiots as well.
There's a lot of that going around.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, there are more important things to talk about. Like, Sarah Burnham, you know, I remember a couple of weeks ago that we said, you know, Sarah left the Cactus Tour. She left with a rare trifecta. She left with a trophy, a check.
You're breaking up a little bit. You're breaking up a little bit. I'm going to step in here for a second.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. I think you're back now. Go ahead.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Sarah Burnham leaving the Cactus Tour with a rare trifecta, a trophy, a check, and a toilet tissue after winning the tournament in Buckeye, Arizona for the Cactus Tour. Now, 2 weeks later, she has won an event at the Apache Creek Golf Club. They're the Cactus Tour again. So, Fred, I know, this was a 26 player field. It's not LPGA caliber, but hey, she was in a battle.
Rose up again, Carlos.
With Brittany Jada in that final round and was able to survive for a one-shot victory. I mean, she finished 9 under. Brittany was 8 under. Third place was 4 shots behind. So she won the mano-a-mano. So you think this is going to serve as a confidence builder for when she returns to the LPGA?
Anytime you win, it's a confidence builder. Anytime. I know this isn't a world-class field that she's beating, but I don't care. A win is a win is a win. You know, that goes back to Michelle Wie, right? Trying to play on the men's tour. If she'd have just played against juniors and worked her way all the way up through playing in women's events, she could have been one of the most dominant women players of all time. But her parents and her decided to go for the money and make a big deal, more of an exhibition out of it. But Sarah Burnham, you know, she's from Michigan State, right up the road here, and you know, she's from Minnesota, now living in Arizona. So these are home games for her, so she can live at home and go play these things. And she's not winning a lot of money, but man, she's learning how to win. Carlos, that's a big thing. It's the takeaway when the LPGA does get going back again. She's a rookie on the LPGA Tour. This should really help her a lot once she gets back and the LPGA Tour gets going again.
Definitely, and she was in a mano there that final round with Brittany. Brittany shot 67. She shot a 68, so it was them. The third place was far, but it definitely, I think, is going to help her moving forward. That's a player to look for once we see returning on the LPGA. So in an interview published yesterday on the PGA Tour's website, Rafa Cabrera Bello, he's still hunkered down in Florida 1 month after the PGA Tour suspended the season due to the coronavirus. You might remember he shot first round of 68 at the Players, and then the rest of the tournament was canceled, and he found himself stranded with his wife Sophia, their 8 month and their 8 month old daughter Alba Margareta. They have a home in Dubai, but they have been sheltering in a place at a rental home in Ponte Vedra, along with his manager Richard Raymond and his family. And he has been keeping track with his family back in Europe. His brother lives in Malaga, his sister's in London, and his wife's family is living in Portugal. Her dad, his father-in-law, is in Sweden. So he's saying that all the family is safe and healthy, but that he's more concerned for his grandparents because they're up in age and at a higher risk. So Fred, Rafa, the family will stay put until May. Here's another case that they're on the wait to see what's going to happen next month before they reassess their situation of what's going to happen. But this is another example of what the pandemic is creating. I mean, people are not being able to travel and go to back to their homes, especially places like that are really being affected around the world.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this when Kieran was on, last week too. Um, as you mentioned, the international guys, it's tough for them to go. You can't fly across uh, uh, different countries' borders right now. You just can't do it. And like Rafa, if he would have gone home, he'd have been stuck there. And if the tour would have gotten going in May or something like that, he wouldn't have been able to get back, maybe to even play. So he's probably in the best place he could be, hanging out in Florida. He's got his wife and his child with him, plus his manager and his wife and child. So there's six of them sharing a house that they've rented. So actually, it's working out pretty well for him. He goes and practices at TPC Sawgrass a couple, 3 days a week, which isn't a bad place to go practice. Probably get to see a little bit of Florida and hang out and enjoy the weather down there. But it's once the tour gets going again, if there's guys in Europe, are they going to be able to get back here to play? Are they going to want to come back here to play? There's so many questions. We're going to stay on top of it. We're going to keep bringing it to you. But here's a guy that was here for the Players, and he's stuck in Florida. I guess there's worse places to be, Carlos.
Oh, there are. And, like you mentioned, what's going to happen when everything starts reopening, even though the European Tour? There's so many plans. The European Tour is even saying that they might reduce their money, make 2 tournaments a week. And I mean, it's all a mess so far. We don't know what's going to happen. But I think he's fine right now. Of course, like everybody, I would miss my home not being there. But considering the options, it's better to stay safe than be sorry. So for him, we'll continue monitoring the things that are happening, not only with him, but other players around the golf industry. Now, Sergio.
Your boy.
Sergio. Congratulations, Sergio. You and your wife, Angela, welcome a second child into the world this past week. In other words, during what would have been Masters Week, Enzo was born in what would have been the second round of the tournament. Yes, Enzo Akins Garcia is the name of the baby boy. So this time he and his wife stay clear of any Masters names. But he definitely dodged a big bullet, Fred. He might have been faced with a choice between withdrawing from the major he won in 2017 or potentially missing the birth of his son. I truly think, knowing him, that decision may have been a little easier now that he knows that play of victory that he had over Justin Rose netted him a lifetime worth of invites down Magnolia Lane. So I think he would have stayed home and see his son being born. But in any case, Sergio, congratulations, my man. It's always great to see when you have a kid. So congratulations. I know that you're going to enjoy November going down there to Magnolia Lane and playing the Masters. So congratulations from our part.
Yeah, congratulations are in order, and you're right, Carlos. He probably would have withdrawn. I think, don't they live in Dallas when when he's here in the U.S.? I think in your neighborhood there, probably. You're probably next door neighbors there. Um, but uh, but yeah, that would have been a tough decision. But I imagine he would have probably stayed at home and to see the birth of his child. So, but congratulations, and it happened during Masters Week, so good for them.
Yeah, I bet he's going to take him now to the Masters in November, but we'll see. Hey, a little bit of sad story. Doc Sanders, if you don't remember who he was a player who lit up what you could say at the time was a otherwise staid golf circuit of his time. He had a colorful attire that earned him the nickname of Peacock of the Fairways. He became a fan favorite, of course. He won 20 PGA Tour events. He fell just short of capturing a major tournament. He was 4 times a runner-up.
Four times.
4 times. And he left us on Sunday in Houston at the age of 86. So I guess condolences are in order to his family. May he rest in peace. Fred, I know you have some stories to tell about.
Yeah, he was a pretty good player. And the guys he lost to, Jack Nicklaus twice in those majors. So, if it wasn't for Jack, he'd have had a couple major championships. But yeah, Ian Poulter, got his fancy clothes from Doug Sanders, I think. Doug loved the pink, loved fuchsia. He loved all that bright colors, man. He was unbelievable. The first professional golf tournament I ever went to was in 1970. And it really wasn't a tournament, it was a one-day pro-am. Before there was the Memorial, before there was a Muirfield Village, Jack Nicklaus held a one-day pro-am, a Monday pro-am, at the Columbus Country Club. It's clear out on the east side of Columbus, clear out at the intersection of Broad and Hamilton, which is way east. It was then. It's part of town, but it was way east then. And I happened to work in a gas station right across the street from the Columbus Country Club at the time. And the guys that owned the gas station closed it down, basically, and they parked cars because they made more money parking cars than they would make selling gas all day. They had to leave one line open through the pumps, but so we were just sitting here and said, hey, if you want to go to the golf tournament, go ahead. And I really had just started playing golf in 1969, the year before, actually, about 1 year prior. And so people would come out and they'd have extra tickets and they'd give them to us. And so the guy said, hey, if you want to go, just go ahead and go on over there. So I went over and I got to see Jack Nicklaus for the first time and, all these kind of things. Bob Hope was there. It was a big deal. And I remember as I'm walking out later in the afternoon, there was an outdoor patio off of the clubhouse. And of course, a lot of members were there schmoozing with the pros and drinking and carrying on and having a good time. And there was Doug Sanders right in the middle of about 3 or 4 women, downing some drinks and just schmoozing and really chatting it up with the ladies there, I always got a kick out of that. Every time I ever saw Doug Sanders on TV or playing, I just remember back that time. He was really working it. I don't know what ended up for him that night, but he was working it. So golf was not on his mind at that point in time. So, but yeah, he was very colorful and he almost came out off clownish, but he was a really good player and should be remembered for that. 20 wins. Not that many guys get 20 wins on the PGA Tour, Carlos.
Definitely. And that shows you that he wasn't only about the essence, he had some substance. And like Ian Poulter, you have to have, if you're going to play,
if you're going to wear that stuff,
you're going to wear that stuff, you better play well.
Yeah.
It's not a John Daly thing. But anyway, our condolences to his family. Definitely a great player that we lost. Fred, we're short of an hour. We still have some time that we can kick in here. Let's talk a little bit, maybe some other headlines that we have seen so far. I mentioned that the European Tour may be cutting price, stage 2 events a week, and they're also going to require 14 days of quarantines to their players before actually playing. So I think that we were seeing there how their CEO is trying to change things and make it available and try to put some safety nets there as well. We already see, the Senior Open the Open Championship was also canceled, and now following suit, the Senior Open Championship has been postponed. What's your take on that? That we hear about the European Tour cutting prize money, staging 2 events a week, requiring that 14-day quarantines. I mean, it's a tough thing, but they're trying to get going and finish their season.
At this point, the guys will, I mean, the guys that need to play the European Tour are the guys that need the money. The guys, the big guys can come over here and play events in the United States still, the majors and the WGCs and the big events that are going to be happening, and they're going to make enough money to cover their expenses for the year. The guys that need to play, the younger guys, the guys that aren't established yet, the journeymen who really need every buck they make, and they need to get seen so that their sponsors can pay their sponsor money, they need places to play. So once this thing opens back up, these guys are going to be trying to get in every event they can get into. And then the other problem with that is, as you know, the European Tour, they're not making a lot of money. I'm talking about the tour itself. They're not making a lot of money. So they are hurting. They need to get back out playing so they can get the TV money, they can get the revenue coming back in again. They're going to have to cut purses. But the guys are going to be so happy to have a place to play, I don't think it's going to matter. Yeah, and just like Kieran said last week, okay, let's just, whatever we can do the rest of this year, let's not worry about it. Everybody try to make a buck, get through the end of the year. Next year, let's start off fresh, and we'll go back at it again. And we see it with the Ladies European Tour. We see it with European. The European Tour needs the money from their share of the Ryder Cup proceeds to get through the odd year to get into the next year when it's a Ryder Cup again. So they need that income. That's why the Ryder Cup is so important to be played, because the European Tour really needs. The PGA, they can live, they can get through. It's not going to be great, but they'll get through. They got enough money in the bank. European Tour doesn't. So they need to play. The players want to play, and they'll play for about 50, 60 cents on the dollar right now. It really won't matter to them, as long as they can try to make a buck. It's more important that they can get out there and carry that golf bag with their sponsor's name on it, or wear that shirt with the sponsor's name on it, so they can get money for making a cut. That's what they really need right now. So whatever they can do to get some tournaments in, if they have to play 2 a week, if they have to, fit stuff in, whatever, I'm sure they're going to do it. And they're going to have tournaments. I'm sure they're going to have tournaments in Europe when we're having majors. And, normally they take the week off, but I'm sure they're going to be having tournaments now. They're going to fill every week with something. I'm sure they're going to do that, Carlos.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win for them, because like you're mentioning, the top guys are going to be here playing the big tournaments anyway. They're not going to go there, especially if the purses are cut. And Keith Paley, he was saying they have had to already postponed 11 events. That means they have to reschedule them somehow during the end of the season. Now, he's already saying that, of course, now the Masters is going to be November 12th to the 15th. That is impacting the end of their schedule, because the NetBank Challenge is that same week, and that is the second to last tournament on the Race to Dubai. The week after is the DP World Tour Championship. So there's going to be a lot of impact, maybe on the top players, but to me, the way to say is like, forget about this year. Let's give our younger players and those players that are really not that big right now in the rankings, let's give them the exposure. But one big thing that I think they have to do is really postpone the Ryder Cup. I know it's about the money and all that, but really, how are you going to put that with everything being the way that it is. You're not going to have full points for everyone. What are you going to do with the points to qualify there?
Doesn't matter. They're going to have it, Carlos.
I don't know. I don't know.
Doesn't
I
matter.
think I think every day, even though they have not said a word, that they are really going to postpone this thing. Uh, I have that feeling that there's some uneasiness among the players, and when that happens, the European players. I know that the European tour might be counting on that money, but uh, players rule their tour, and Keith Pelley
I
listens
didn't.
to them.
I
So
didn't bring it up. I know. I should have probably put it in here, but Padraig Harrington and Steve Stricker wrote a joint letter to the PGA about holding the Ryder Cup and not canceling it, and we'll be there, and our teams will be there, and all that kind of thing. So the players want to play it. The captains want to play it. And the PGA and the European Tour wants that money, that TV money. So I would say, barring any unforeseen, catastrophic event, the Ryder Cup's going to be held in September.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll keep everybody uh, guessing on this one. We'll see. Definitely. My take is not. Yours is it. We'll see how it goes out. But one final piece of news I want to bring in. I don't know if you saw that the PGA championships have been already scheduled throughout the 2031. And although the venues for 2025, 2026, and 2030 are still to be determined. So uh, at least we know already that this year is still in TPC Harding Park. Kiowa Island will be next year. Trump National Golf Club in 2022. Oak Hill 2023. Valhalla is going to be 2024. Aerodynamic is going to be 2027. The Olympic Club is going to be 2028. Baltusrol 2029. And Congressional will be in 2031. So any thoughts on that? At least we know some of those courses,
I was
classic courses for the PGA.
I was at Kiowa 3 years ago now, something like that, maybe 4. It was right after they announced that they were going to have it again, have the PGA. They were excited and getting ready for it then, and it was like 7 years out or something until they were going to have it. So I know they're excited down there. That's a wonderful golf course. If the wind blows down there, the scores just go sky high without question. Yeah, those things. They've got plenty of room, and I don't know. I'm not sure. I know they're scheduled for Harding Park, but it would not surprise me if they move that tournament to someplace else. California is still kind of a mess, and so San Francisco especially. So we'll see. And that government out there is a little shaky at best. They don't, when it comes to this common sense thing, I'm not sure they have a lot of that. So I'm not sure that the PGA will probably be held in August or whenever they're talking about there at the end of July. But I'm not sure it's going to be at Harding Park. It may be in Texas or someplace else.
We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, you have any final words before we close the show?
I do. I just want to let everybody know that, again, you can watch this back report on Back Nine Report TV channel on YouTube. You can also find great videos for news, information, travel, equipment reviews. We've got it all broke down now. As you go in there, you can go into the different, they call them playlists or sections, and so you don't have to scroll through the whole thing. We want to welcome our listeners to also visit Ohio and Michigan golf journals for golf articles written by some of the best golf writers from around the country. Hopefully, this coronavirus is going to pass, and hopefully it's going to pass sooner than later. We want to see everyone back out there on the golf course, and we want to be able to see you on the back nine, Carlos.
Well, Back Niners, that wraps up another week of the Back Nine Report. Thank you for being with us. I cannot say only listening because now you can watch. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest on the world of golf. Don't forget to join us again next Tuesday. And it's going to be here on YouTube, on Blog Talk Radio, and TuneIn, iTunes, Roku TV, wherever Fred can get us, that's where we're going to be. And if you haven't done so, follow the show on Twitter. Our ID is at Back9 Report with the number 9 in the middle. My name is Carlos Torres, along with Fernando Vader. We wish you to be happy, be blessed, and enjoy the great game of golf. Happy golfing, everybody.
We'll see you on the back nine.
Yes.